Hello everyone, welcome back. We're talking about the vascular development in the cardiovascular system. In this section, we'll talk about the clinical correlates of the of the venous system and the lymphatic system in detail. We'll talk about the defects of inferior vena cava. What happens if the development of inferior vena cava goes wrong? What happens if the vein do not anastomose as they're required and they do not form superior vena cava properly? And finally, we'll talk about the lymphatic system in the body. So, starting with the defects of the inferior vena cava, we have a double inferior vena cava. Here you can see in this figure, this is the normal vena cava, and this is the persistent left sacrocardinal vein. This sacrocardinal vein was supposed to form the left renal vein, but it did not form. It did not form the renal vein, or it formed the renal vein and still persisted. So we have double inferior vena cava. So the left sacrocardinal vein fails to lose its connection with the left subcardinal vein. So this is the sacrocardinal vein, this is the subcardinal vein, and this is the connection between the sacrocardinal and subcardinal vein that persists. Common iliac vein may or may not be present. Obviously, it may or may not be present. The left gonadal vein, this is the left gonadal vein, it remains as it is in the normal conditions. So moving on, we have the absence of the inferior vena cava altogether. Here you can see these are the various anastomotic channels which help in the production of vena cava. We'll see how absent inferior vena cava may occur. The right subcardinal vein it fails to make its connection with the liver. So this is the right subcardinal vein. The right subcardinal vein is supposed to make its connection with the liver. This anastomosis has to be there, but it may fail to occur, and hence it may not form properly. So the connection between the liver and the right subcardinal vein does not form. As a result, it shunts blood directly into the right supracardinal vein. So blood is shunted directly into the right supracardinal vein. The blood is going directly into the right supracardinal vein. So now the blood stream from the caudal part of the body reaches the heart by the azygous vein. So the azygous vein, this is the azygous vein, it is responsible for carrying the blood from the distal part of the body directly to the superior vena cava. So hepatic vein enters into the right atrium of the heart, and there's a hepatic vein which enters into the right atrium of the heart. So this is a normal vena cava. This is the hepatic segment, then this is the renal segment, this is the infrarenal segment, and this is the iliac segment. So here a proper anastomosis did not take place. So now the blood is being carried to the superior vena cava with the help of this azygous vein, and there's absence of the inferior vena cava. So now let's talk about left superior vena cava. So normally the superior vena cava is present on the right side, but what happens if it is present on the left side, and how does it take place? It's the persistence of the left anterior cardinal vein. So anterior cardinal vein, which is supplying the upper part of the body, it now persists on the left side. The common cardinal and the proximal part of anterior cardinal vein on the right is obliterated. In the figure, it is actually a double superior vena cava, but ideally left superior vena cava has obliteration of this common cardinal vein, this common cardinal, and the vein of the anterior and the anterior cardinal vein on the right side. So this section may be obliterated in a true left superior vena cava. Now blood from the right is channeled to the left via left brachiocephalic vein. So the left brachiocephalic vein is responsible for shunting of blood from the left to the right. Left superior vena cava drains into the atrium by coronary sinus. Now it drains into the right atrium with the help of the coronary sinus. Initially, there is usually there is a direct opening of superior vena cava within the atrium, but Since it is a left-sided superior vena cava, so it drains into the right atrium with the help of coronary sinus. Now, double superior vena cava. In double superior vena cava, the left anterior cardinal vein persists as in the left superior vena cava. The left brachiocephalic vein, however, may fail to form. The left brachiocephalic may form or may fail to form. The persistent left anterior cardinal vein form the left superior vena cava. This is the left superior vena cava. It drains into the right atrium with the help of coronary sinus, as discussed previously. So now moving on to the lymphatic system. So lymphatic system, it appears during the 5th week of gestation. The lymphatic vessels arise as sac-like outgrowths from the vein endothelium. So the lymphatic sacs, what are their locations? 2 in the jugular region. This is the jugular region, the region of the neck, at the junction of the subclavian and the anterior cardinal veins. So this is the region of anterior cardinal vein. This is the region of subclavian. At the junction of the subclavian and the anterior cardinal vein, we have 2 jugular lymph sacs. Moving on, we have 2 iliac lymph sacs. So they're at the junction of iliac lymph veins, iliac and posterior cardinal veins. So this is the common area of the common iliac vein. This is the area of posterior cardinal vein. At the junction of this iliac and the posterior cardinal veins, we have 2 iliac lymph sacs. We have 1 retroperitoneal lymph sac, which is near the root of the mesentery. So root of the mesentery is in this region. It is moving obliquely downwards, and this is the region where the retroperitoneal lymph sac lies. And finally, we have cisterna chyli. This is the cisterna chyli, which is dorsal to the retroperitoneal sac. So we have 4 locations at which we have the lymphatic sacs. We have the thoracic lymphatic sacs, the iliac lymphatic sacs, the retroperitoneal lymphatic sacs, and finally cisterna chyli, which lies in front of the retroperitoneal lymphatic sacs. So there are numerous channels which are connecting these sacs to each other, and they drain the lymph throughout the body. Here you can see all these green are the lymphatic channels. So the right and left thoracic ducts, they join to form the jugular sac with the cisterna chyli. So this is the jugular sac, this is the cisterna chyli, and they are being joined with the help of the right thoracic duct and the left thoracic duct. Here you can see this is the thoracic duct joining the jugular lymphatic sacs with the cisterna chyli. Anastomosis is formed between these ducts. It's obvious these ducts are linked to each other with a lot of anastomosis. The thoracic duct is formed by the distal portion of the right thoracic duct. So the distal portion of the right thoracic duct and its anastomosis, and the cranial portion of the left thoracic duct. So the cranial portion of the left thoracic duct, the distal portion of right thoracic duct, and the anastomosis in between helps in the formation of the adult thoracic duct. So the cranial portion of the right thoracic duct forms the right lymphatic duct, and this is the right lymphatic duct. Right lymphatic duct is formed by the cranial portion of the right thoracic duct. Both these ducts maintain their original connection with the venous system. So they empty into the junction of the internal jugular and the subclavian veins in the region of neck and the clavicle. The junction between the internal jugular and the subclavian veins is where these lymphatic ducts and the thoracic duct, they empty. There are numerous anastomosis between these thoracic ducts, and the final form may vary a lot. This is the reason I did not present a certain type of the lymphatic or the thoracic duct. There are various anastomosis between them, and that can result in production of a lot of variants of the lymphatic system. With that, this is the end of this section. In this section, we talked about the venous system. The venous system include the arterial counterparts, the umbilical vein, the venous, the vitelline vein, and the cardinal veins. We also talked about the clinical aspects of these, the developmental anomalies that may arise due to abnormal development of these veins, and we also saw the lymphatic system, how it is developed, and what are the various variations of lymphatic system within the body. For further details, keep watching sqadia.com.